Can the Magic win an NBA championship within the next 5 seasons? Let's get into this.
Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetic.
Quickly before we get the video started, if you guys enjoy this video and want to see more NBA content just like this one, hit that subscribe button and that post notification bell. Anyways, back to the video. For quite some time now, the Orlando Magic have been a team known for being a bottom feeder of the NBA. Basically each and every season over the more recent history, the Magic basically never made the playoffs, and they also weren't even close to really making the playoffs. They've just basically been in a rebuild for some time now. But after all the mismanagement that the Magic had, basically hiring the wrong people in the wrong positions, maybe hiring the wrong head coach, the wrong general manager or president of basketball operations, and then drafting the wrong players when you do have those high draft picks. After all that mismanagement, it finally appears that the Magic are headed in the right direction. Some of the newer players that they've been drafting more recently appear to be very promising. It seems like they've hired a pretty promising head coach. They're hiring the right people in the right positions. It's very early in the process and we don't know for sure, but it just looks like the Magic are headed in the right direction. And when you actually look at the roster that the Magic currently have, there's a ton of different young players that are very promising going forward. Of course, you talk about a guy like Jalen Suggs, who the Magic just drafted this year. In terms of his offensive ability, he's very, very talented. In terms of his three-point shooting ability, he has the ability to catch and shoot from that three-point range. He also has the ability to cross over, sidestep, step back. He can literally do everything from that three-point area. And of course, you might say that's crazy just looking at his three-point shooting percentage at only 20%. But Jalen is very early on in the season, of course, but also he's very early on in his rookie season. So I think as time goes on and he really gets more comfortable to the NBA game, get more comfortable to his teammates and everything, I think his percentage is going to go up a lot higher, because I think it's pretty clear when you watch him actually play in the court and see his jump shot, it's pretty clear that he has a pretty good stroke from that three-point area. But in terms of his mid-range shooting ability, Jalen also has the ability to basically do everything he could from that three-point area. He also has a very nice pull-up mid-range jump shot, also has the ability to do a post turnaround fadeaway, doesn't do it that often but has the ability to do so. And driving all the way to the basket, he's very athletic of course, so he could dunk over you or finish around you with either left or right hand. Also has somewhat of a floater within this game, which I mentioned in a lot of my videos, is very important. I typically say for point guards, but for Jalen, he has the ball in his hands a lot. He's a shooting guard. I think it is very important for a guy like him to have a floater within his game, specifically when coming off screens. I would say at this point Jalen's a decent passer. Of course he could improve on it a little bit. At his position, it's not necessarily something he needs to be great at. So just having the ability to find open teammates when he's getting doubled or triple teamed, I think he basically has the ability to do so. And maybe he can work on it, get a little bit better in terms of his passing and playmaking ability. But overall, offensively, I would say Jalen's game is very complete and very talented overall. And on the defensive side, I would also say Jalen's a pretty good defender in my opinion. So overall, I would probably say Jalen's a very talented player and has a ton of promise going forward. But now talking about another guy in Cole Anthony. After being drafted by the Magic last year and having an okay season, this year Cole Anthony has really taken his game to the next level. This year Cole, so far early on in this early season, is averaging 20 points per game on a really good 44% shooting from the field, 7 rebounds per game, and also adding 6 assists to his game. Those are fantastic numbers for a guy who's only in his second season, and really fantastic numbers in general. But of course we all know Cole is fantastic on the offensive side. He's a really good three-point shooter. Certainly he can catch and shoot from that three-point area. Also can create for himself from that three-point area. Side steps he's very effective at. Step backs of course as well. Cross over into a three-point jump shot. Come off a screen. Pull up from that three-point area. Behind the back into a three-point jump shot. Most of Cole's offensive game is certainly from his three-point jump shooting. But in terms of his mid-range shooting ability, he's also very effective. Of course he can pull up from that mid-range area, put up a little bit of a floater, sidestep, step back of course obviously. Also, although he's pretty short, he also has somewhat of an ability to hit that post turnaround fadeaway, which is something that's pretty important and pretty effective for him. But then getting all the way to the basket, he's definitely a little shorter, so he can't necessarily dunk over people, but he is pretty athletic and has the ability to dunk over people from time to time. But mostly what he's going to do is just finish around them with crafty layups, either with his left or right hand. And one thing that Cole last year wasn't necessarily great at was his passing and playmaking ability, but this year I think we certainly have been seeing him improve pretty significantly on his passing and playmaking ability. He now has the ability not only to find players when he's getting doubled or triple teamed, but just in the general flow of the offense, Cole is more likely than not going to find the wide open teammate. And overall, at this point, I think we can definitely say that Cole is certainly a very good point guard and certainly an up-and-coming point guard. Of course, on the defensive side, Cole is struggling a little bit, and that's somewhere where he's basically struggled throughout his whole career. But Cole is certainly a very good piece to the puzzle for the Magic going forward. Talking about some other people that the Magic have on their team, another guy who they just drafted this previous season, Franz Wagner, I think he's been a very nice surprise for them early on. Of course, he's a very good stroke from that three-point area, can certainly catch and shoot, can somewhat create for himself from that three-point range, but mostly what he does from that area is just catch and shoot. Really good corner three-point shooter, as well as he could basically shoot everywhere else in the court. But something that's been a little bit of a pleasant surprise about him is he's shown the ability to put the ball on the floor and really drive all the way to the basket, dunk over people, finish around people, have just a nice touch around the basket, put up some floaters as well, decent mid-range jump shot. And overall, I think Wagner is also definitely looking like a really good piece for the Magic going forward as well. Of course, besides him, you have a guy in Markelle Fultz. We all know what he can do. Really good at getting all the way to the basket, good defender, great rebounder for his position. Jonathan Isaac, who's been injured as of late, but I think he's a pretty good defender as well. Pretty good on the offensive side, could of course catch and shoot from that three-point area, somewhat create for himself as well. RJ Hampton, a talented young scorer in this league. And overall, this Magic team is just a very good young team going forward in my opinion. But now let's get into the question of the video, which is, could the Orlando Magic win an NBA championship within the next 5 seasons? The Magic are still honestly in the early stages of the rebuild, and probably before the next 2 or 3 seasons, they can't even think about even competing to win an NBA championship. And currently in this season, it's looking like the Magic are probably not going to make the playoffs, but what I want to see from the Magic this year is just all the players on their team to improve, all the younger guys that I mentioned before in the video, and also just get a good chemistry playing with all the other young guys. And then potentially next year, if they can make a little bit of an improvement, maybe they can compete for a playoff spot, maybe even make the playoffs, and then you go from there. The first step when you're rebuilding as a young team, after you really drafted a lot of the players that you want to have on your team, and probably honestly they're going to have a pretty good draft pick next year as well, so maybe they'll add another piece to the puzzle. But basically at this point, I think the Magic certainly have a nice young core for them. So of course the first step is just to be competitive in every game, play good defense, get your chemistry going, just get adjusted to the league for all these newer younger players. And the next step after that, which hopefully would come next year or maybe the season after that for the Magic, is now start to compete to make the NBA playoffs, or at the very least get close to making it, and just put a competitive product out there. And if the Magic are able to make the playoffs next year, we'll see how they do in the playoffs. Most likely they'll lose in the first round, but then the season after that you build on it. Then maybe you win a first round playoff matchup, then in the second round maybe you lose, maybe make it to the third round, whatever, you never know. But you just want to continuously build upon what you did the previous year, and I basically think that's where the Magic are currently. Definitely not going to make the playoffs this year, but you want to put a competitive product out there for your younger players, your younger rookies in general. You want them to get acclimated to the NBA, get better chemistry with their teammates, find out who your head coach is going to be going forward, find out who your best players on your team are going to be going forward, and then just continuously get better each and every season, and that's basically all you can ask. But in my personal opinion, to answer the question of the video, if I think the Magic are going to win an NBA championship within the next 5 seasons, I would personally probably say no, and I think that's a pretty safe assumption. I think the Magic are just way too early in the rebuild. It's not that I don't necessarily think the players on the Magic currently are ever going to be superstars or good enough to win a championship, but I just think it's way too early within the next 5 years, and you just need to give them more time and for them to add some more players within their organization. But with that being said, I definitely like the players they have on this team, and eventually I could see some of the players they have on the roster become superstars. But we'll see what happens going forward for the Magic. But anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you think the Magic could win an NBA championship within the next 5 seasons, or do you not think so? But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and if you did enjoy, please leave that like and subscribe button and hit that post notification bell. It really helps me out a lot. Until the next time, peace out, guys.
Dosage. Oh yeah, I work with the medics. I'm about to get you injected. I got a couple connections so I can get you prosthetics. Hope you can't go where I'm headed.